Imagine being so fast you could outrun anybody, but you still end up losing a race to a slow-moving tortoise. I know, it sounds completely insane, right? Well, welcome to Zeno's paradox. It's this ancient Greek puzzle where somehow infinity seems to beat pure speed.
So over the next few minutes, we're going to break down why this old paradox is so relevant to your life today and how it perfectly explains the modern trap of overthinking. Let's get into it. So it all starts with this thought experiment that just feels, well, totally wrong. It's called the impossible race. In one corner, you've got Achilles. He's a legendary hero, pretty much the fastest runner you can imagine. And in the other corner, a slow, steady tortoise. Now, to make things a little more interesting, Achilles gives the tortoise a small head start. Okay, this is where things get kind of weird and our brains start to short circuit. So Achilles takes off, right? He easily gets to the tortoise's starting line. But in the time it took him to do that, the tortoise is already shuffled forward a little bit. Okay, no problem. Achilles runs to that new spot. But, yep, you guessed it, the tortoise has moved forward again. This little game of catch-up, chasing where the tortoise was, could go on forever. And this is what led Zeno to his kind of brilliant but totally flawed conclusion. He argued that because Achilles has to cross an infinite number of these ever-shrinking gaps, it must take an infinite amount of time. So according to his logic, Achilles can never actually catch the tortoise. Of course, in the real world, we all know Achilles would blow right past that tortoise without even thinking about it. So what's the trick? Well, it's that our intuition is terrible when it comes to the idea of infinity. We feel it like it's a real physical wall, but it's really just a barrier in our minds. So how do we actually solve for infinity? Let's unpack what's really happening here, mathematically speaking. You see, the paradox only works because it plays on a glitch in our thinking. Our brain hears the words infinite steps, and an alarm bell goes off that says, impossible, can't be done. It's a totally natural assumption, but it's wrong. Now, the official, fancy solution comes from calculus. It's an idea called a convergent series. It's really just a way of proving that you can add up an infinite number of things, and as long as they keep getting smaller and smaller, they'll add up to a final limited number. So all those infinite little gaps Achilles has to cross, they actually add up to a very small, very finite distance. But hey, you absolutely do not need to understand calculus to get this. In fact, let's use a much, much tastier example. A good old chocolate bar. Just picture it. First, you eat half the chocolate bar. Then, you eat half of the piece that's left over. That's a quarter. Then half of that piece, which is an eighth, and on and on. Now, you could theoretically keep dividing the last tiny crumb in half forever, but come on, we all know what happens. You finish the whole thing in what, a few seconds? And this is the perfect illustration. All those infinite little pieces, the half, the quarter, the eighth, they just add up to one complete, finished chocolate bar. Achilles' race is exactly the same principle. All those little steps just add up to a finite distance, and boom, he zips right past the tortoise. Okay, so here's why any of this matters. This isn't just some ancient philosophical game. It is a perfect map for a trap that every single one of us falls into, the overthinking trap. Think about a big project you've been putting off. What do? We get smart and we break it down into smaller steps. Great, but then we break those steps into even smaller sub-steps, and then we break those into micro steps, and before you know it, the task feels endless, overwhelming, and we just do nothing. We freeze. So let's give this a name. Let's call it the Zeno trap. It's this powerful illusion that a task is impossible just because your mind can slice it into what feels like a million tiny pieces. You get so lost in the details, you forget you're just trying to finish the race. So how do you escape this paralysis? The fix, you'll be happy to hear, is actually really simple. You have to stop focusing on all the tiny, infinite pieces of the track. You have to stop counting the crumbs of chocolate. You just gotta focus on the finish line. Focus on eating the whole bar. You know, a really powerful tool for this is the 80-20 rule. You've probably heard of it. It basically says that for almost anything, a few key actions, like 20% of your total effort, are going to create the vast majority of your results, around 80% of your progress. You don't need to do an infinite number of things. You just have to do the few things that actually matter. All right, time to make this super practical. Here is your 80% solution, a quick little exercise you can do right now to just break through that feeling of being stuck. It's just 3 steps. First, pick one thing, just one, that you've been putting off. Second, forget making a 50-item list. Just write down the 3, maybe 4, big moves that will get you most of the way there. And third, this is the most important part, just do the first one. Right now, for only 10 minutes. Don't worry about anything else. Just start running.
So when it all comes down to it, what's the big lesson here? It's that infinity isn't some real wall blocking your path. It's just a story your brain tells itself when it gets lost in the weeds. Most of our problems, just like Zeno's paradox, get a whole lot smaller the second we stop slicing them into endless little pieces and just take that first step. If you enjoy getting this kind of clarity on big ideas, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And hey, let us know in the comments, what's the one task you're going to tackle today?